Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is rest as revolution. So we live in a culture of doing, doing, doing. Just do it is what one of our rally cries, right? And um, in the frantic rush for doing, we often neglect the need for rest and recovery and rejuvenation. And so today we're going to talk about rest as revolution, against or in the face of, to transform perhaps that culture of restlessness that has us in a frantic race all the time to be doing, and valuing ourselves based on our quote unquote productivity. Good morning, Rosalind and Dido. How wonderful to have you joining us today. I'm so excited. So before we start in our conversation today, let's just take a minute or two to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light, lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, rest as revolution. We indulge in a nap. We often feel guilty and lazy if we let ourselves rest. And I think that this is an enculturated pattern that perhaps we get to change, where we prioritize all the doing over the being. And we've talked about that a lot, but rest is kind of in a category of its own, because we deny our self-care typically. And I think we're conditioned to do it, just push past it, push past. And so with this constant pushing, what's going to happen to our body and being? We overextend ourselves. We go into adrenal overwhelm, and we can more readily lose our center. And where this is coming from is, this morning I got up and meditated, and I then went back to sleep. I let myself sleep in, which was so delicious. And I'm just so deeply appreciating how lovely it was to not push, to just say, I'm going to rest. And I really needed that rest. And I felt like I was paying attention to myself in a way that I needed, that my body was celebrating. And that I feel more able to be present, and from a place of having felt nurtured. And so I invite you to look at places where you might be exhausted, you might have pushed yourself beyond your limit, pushed yourself beyond the place of comfort to where you're maybe just sort of sleepwalking through life just to get the things done. Like that's our function, is to get the things done. And instead to allow yourself, even if it's in the middle of the day, maybe if you can allow yourself the time to just sit and breathe with your eyes closed and focus on allowing your body to relax, allow some sense of ease and actual deep breath to slow down. And I know it can seem terribly counterintuitive to slow down in the face of so many demands. But the thing is that when we allow ourselves that, we can come center to center, we can become more clear, we can become more present, and we can become more resourceful. So I recognize that it may seem counterintuitive to just relax, to take some time in this very busy, frantic schedule that so many of us have manufactured for ourselves, and just breathe and rest. Rest is something that pays dividends. And, I heard myself wanting to say that, and also I'm looking at the same time at this notion of how, we think of time as money, and we invest our time and we invest our attention. And it's funny how these terms are money terms, because time is money, time is money. Well, time isn't money. Time is time, money's money. And we, in allocating our time, in prioritizing our time, we get to choose how we're valuing ourselves in our lives. And the notion of rest being a waste of time is one that I think we need to counteract. And where that's coming from, the idea of rest being a waste of time or an indulgence. How about that, an indulgence? Where's that coming from? It's coming from the notion that we only value ourselves based on what we can produce outwardly in the world. In other words, in externalities, in how much we get done, in how much we earn, in how much we own. It's funny that that's how we are. It's not funny, haha. It's funny, like so strange, really, that we value ourselves as humans based on what we produce in the world. And this goes back to a conversation of sufficiency and being whole within ourselves in such a way that there's nothing to do, there's nothing that needs doing. Ultimately, like if we look at, I heard a quote that if it's not going to be important 5 years from now, it's not important now. And that may or may not be the case. I think it's an interesting perspective to try on to see, is this going to be important 5 years from now? And the fact that it isn't, is that going to impact whether it's important in this moment? The resting, the self-care is going to impact us over time, or the lack of self-care, the lack of resting is certainly going to impact us over time. And so it's interesting, because I want to say, the gift that we give ourselves or invest in, or all these interesting terms that crop up, rather than recognizing that we're in so many ways conditioned to override our fundamental needs. To, if we're hungry, or we're thirsty, or we're tired, and we have something to do, it's just like keep pushing the limit, keep going to the edge or beyond, over the edge. I don't know if you've ever experienced being so tired that it hurts. Just, I can say that I have, where my brain just doesn't want to function. My body has felt so exhausted and kind of in pain, that just from that level of exhaustion. And the fact that I can say that to you, that I can say I've actually let myself get to that place, is not a badge of honor for me. And I think that in some ways our culture rewards that kind of denial and disconnection from ourselves and our being. And to be able to honor ourselves. Dido says, yes, I've felt that sometimes. It's so tired that it hurts. It's crazy that we do that to ourselves, right? But that's kind of socially accepted, which is, in fact, it's more than socially accepted. It's kind of socially lauded. What's up with that? What kind of culture do we live in where it's all about do, go, go, and for what? For what? I think asking that question ultimately is really important, because all that doing, so much of it doesn't really get us anywhere, and it's often really destructive. If it does get us somewhere that we want to go, the way that we're doing it, when we push like that and when we stress like that, what's happening is we're manufacturing some resistance that we then have to overcome. So that's taking even more energy, right? Because we're stressing about all the stuff that needs doing, instead of just finding that place of connection, centeredness, restfulness, because we can be restful and do at the same time, without all the resistance, without all the noise, without all the static, to just be able to do the thing we're doing when we're doing it. And if we're exhausted, I don't know, I'm imagining that you've been in this situation too, where you're sitting at the desk and you're actually nodding because you're so exhausted that you can't keep your head up. Well, that's the body saying, hey, time for a break. Even a 10-minute nap can be transformative, or a 10-minute meditation, to just step away to find a place to take a breath, to come back to yourself, because we lose ourselves in the doing. And I know I've told this story before, but it just pops vividly into my mind again, where I was trying to help somebody move, and they were in this steamroller mode, like, I'm going to do this. And literally, I had to brace myself against the wall to get out of their way, because they were coming through like a freight train, and there was no helping, and there was nobody home when they were doing that. There was no, it's like blankness behind the eyes. It was just like this Robotron person knocking down anything in their way to do the thing they thought they needed to do with such concentration and focus. But it wasn't being done with concentration and focus as much as it was with narrowed view, which was coming out of sort of a place of desperate survival, driving this activity rather than presence. And the toll that takes on our adrenal system, on our nervous system, on our emotional system is just so extreme. And I there's a book that I was reading, and I think it was something similar to Rest as Revolution, something similar to that. But rest as an act of rebellion. Personally, I prefer rest as rest, and I see where it is kind of revolutionary, kind of rebellious to say, guess what? I am not what I produce in the world. That what I produce in the world is what I produce in the world. And I don't need to do that to feel worthy. I don't need to do that to be valued or valuable. That are just or well worthy to be here. That we are, just by virtue of breathing and just by virtue of the fact that we're here, we don't have to earn the right to be here. We are here. We are here. And just by virtue of the fact that we're here, we're worthy of being here. And that can just relieve so much of the pressure to recognize, guess what? I can do stuff, I cannot do stuff, and I'm here to be alive because I am. And it can be that simple. And then all the extra stuff is goodies, because then it gives us the freedom of choice. Then it gives us the opportunity to choose how we care to use our time. And it's okay. It's okay. We're not better because we've done more today. We might feel better because we've accomplished things that we set out to accomplish, or that nurtured us, or that served other people in a way that we feel good about, or served our vision in a way that we feel good about. But we spend so much time doing things that we don't care about, doing things that we do because they just have to get done. And I'm very aware of the language about have to get done. And there are obligations and responsibilities that we have. And I'm not advocating don't do that. What I am saying is that who we are in the doing that we do in life, who we are being, how we are being, directly impacts all the stuff that we get to do. And all that franticness that we might feel in the face of a list of to-dos is because we're projecting ourselves out of this present moment into the future. And so rest allows us to come back to ourselves, to come back to presence, to nurture our bodies, our nervous system, our emotional system, our mental capacity. We need to reset, and pushing ourselves to that place of utter exhaustion is a cruelty to ourselves. And when we can recognize that, perhaps we can cultivate a greater willingness to pay attention to foundational needs, needs for rest, needs for food when we need food, needs for water when we need water, fundamental things. There's so many ways that life can be simple, and we tend to overcomplicate it as a culture. Even the list of things that we feel obligated to do and the things we desire to do, if we can allow it to come from a place of being, the whole experience of it shifts. Part of the things that create exhaustion is the tension of urgency, is the demand that we place on ourselves and we receive from our culture and others. And we don't have to accept that demand. That's why rest can be revolution, because we can choose to contextualize that demand so that it is not a priority that runs us, but that we can choose life, choose vitality. What does that look like? There might be consequences for doing that. You might have judgment from other people, but alleviating the judgment that we have for ourselves, for self-care and taking the rest that we need. The martyrdom of suffering in the name of doing it's so yesterday, right? It's like time to live beyond that. It's time to live beyond that into creating quality in our lives, to creating a life that we can really live and thrive in. And it is our choice. It is our responsibility. We've taken it on like it's external forces that are requiring this, that, and the other thing. And we may have deadlines for work and all kinds of things like that. And we choose how to interact with those constraints. We really do have choice about that. We really do have choice to take rest and to even prioritize rest when we need it. And I don't mean need it desperately. I mean, to pay attention before we're nodding at our desk. We've noticed, am I feeling stressed? Am I feeling tired? Okay, well then let me just take a few minutes to get centered. Let me go to bed early. So many of those to-dos are going to wait to get done. If you don't do them, they'll still be there. Most of the to-dos we have are not time urgent to the point where we have to sacrifice our well-being to do them. There may be times, but for the most part, that urgency is something that we manufacture. So with that, I'm going to wish you into a restful, nurturing weekend. That's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And as always, so much gratitude and appreciation for you and for the opportunity to be sharing these musings together on what it is to be human. So until next time, so much love to you.